We spoke more about the approach that I have to have when I go to the play. In certain situations, he told me that the game is going to speak to me. And that's what we spoke about, but nothing about home runs or anything like that.
Did you change your walk-up song?
Yes.
Is there a reason why?
Porque ayer supe que voy a tener una hija y puse baby girl.
So I found out that I was going to have a girl yesterday, so that's why I changed my song. So I dedicated that song to her. I feel very proud. I'm very proud on that right now. And that's why I changed the song.
What's the new song? What's the name?
¿Cómo se llama la canción nueva?
Nokia de Drake.
Nokia from Drake.
Do you have a new home run number in mind now? Are you going 40, 45, 50?
Yo solo vivo el momento.
I just live the moment.
What a day for Junior Caminero, and big weekend for the Tampa Bay Rays. They are winning that series against the Cardinals. But congratulations to Junior Caminero and his wife Francesca, expecting that baby girl named Valentina, again due in November. Well, thanks for joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live. I'm Garrett Wymer, and we appreciate you joining us every day here on Fox Local and on YouTube as we track the latest news. That's going to wrap up our coverage for now, but we will see you tomorrow. So keep it here on Fox Local as your streaming continues.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good afternoon to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon live on Fox Local and on YouTube. It is 4 o'clock, and that means it's time for today's Top 4 at 4, where we break down 4 of the big stories that we are tracking in the Fox 35 newsroom. And joining us for today's Top 4 at 4, Fox 35 News anchor and reporter Marlisa Goldsmith. Marlisa, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here. Happy Monday to you, Garrett.
Yeah, happy Monday. And our number one story of the day is something we've been following for several days now.
Several days.
And this is the new developments today are that FDOT painting over the crosswalk in front of Pulse again.
Yes.
As this continues to get more attention.
This has been a back and forth situation since last week. You all may remember a rainbow crosswalk in downtown Orlando near the site of the Deadly Pulse Nightclub shooting. It was repainted black overnight that was Wednesday into Thursday. The very next day, people repainted it in rainbow colors, first using chalk. Then after rain washed it away, I believe it was twice, they turned to paint to repaint those rainbow colors. Then FDOT officials returned to repaint the crosswalk black and white for a second time, this time with law enforcement monitoring nearby. We were covering that the night that it happened. It was around the 7 o'clock hour. I believe that was Thursday. Now, this all comes after the federal government and the state of Florida both issued new rules and standards in 2025 regarding crosswalks, hoping to remove alleged artwork or designs that are viewed as politically charged or distracting. and then replace them with the uniform black and white style crosswalk. Some officials and LGBTQ plus advocates see the move as just the latest attack on their community.
And we know you mentioned the police presence outside there today and throughout the weekend as well. Fox 35 Stephanie Buffamonte spoke to one of the people who was out there and coloring in the crosswalk with chalk today, and he said he was threatened with arrest. Here's what he told Stephanie.
And got on the little loudspeaker in the front, and when I started doing the red, it was the first color on there today. What? And she said, "Stop painting." And I said, I held up the chalk and said, "I'm not painting, I'm chalking." And it's not the same thing. Some of the other guys said, "Please tell us what statute we're infringing on, that so we understand." And she couldn't do that because we aren't. And then the OPD officer said, as long as you're not blocking traffic or impeding traffic and you're not painting, then you're fine.
So interesting kind of interaction there to hear. We have seen those efforts continue to chalk it, to paint it over the weekend. It's going to be interesting to see what happens kind of moving forward with this.
Yeah, and I remember when Randy Hildreth was out there covering it, I believe that was last Thursday, that was when the first set of people started chalking and then painting. And I remember she interviewed a person out there at the time who said, "I'm sure that repercussions will come if they do. I'm fully prepared to face those consequences because this is how much I believe in taking this stance."
Yeah, we are learning more about this. I had the chance earlier also to speak with Brandon Wolf, who's a Pulse survivor. He works now for the Human Rights Campaign in Washington, D.C. Talked with him a little bit ago. We'll have that full interview coming up in just a little bit on the show. We should note it is not just the rainbow crosswalk. We got a list just a little bit ago from Seminole County where they have a number of the green crosswalks on some of the trails and that kind of thing. They're even having to change and get rid of those to be in compliance with this law. It's just interesting because when many of these are installed, they often cite data saying that these high visibility colors and that kind of thing make those intersections safer. And so it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens now that we're kind of reverting back to just the black and white standard crosswalk. So certainly a big conversation, I think, that we will see moving forward. Speaking of big conversations, a story that we keep learning more about. This is the following up on the deadly crash in St. Lucie County, Harjinder Singh. There have been 2.5 million people signing a petition for leniency for that suspect. Yeah,
there's a petition up on change.org right now urging Florida officials to show some leniency toward the driver of that semi. It's garnered, like you said, nearly 2.5 million signatures. So just to catch everyone up to speed here, the driver of this semi here is the illegal immigrant truck driver who's accused of causing a crash that killed 3 people when he attempted to make an illegal U-turn that you just saw a video of in an unauthorized area along the Florida Turnpike. That trailer jackknifed and collided with the minivan, killing all 3 of its passengers, according to officials. Now, Singh was arrested. We just saw a video. There he is right there being extradited. He was arrested in Stockton, California on August 16th and then later extradited to Florida. There is our lieutenant governor who actually traveled out to California to make this happen, very passionate about this matter. Investigators determined that he and his brother, who was in the truck, they fled to Sacramento the day after the crash, according to the U.S. Marshals Service, and a judge denied bond to Singh, ruling that he's an unauthorized risk. So if convicted, this petition requests that Singh receive a proportionate and reasonable sentence, that parole eligibility be granted after part of his sentence is served, and alternatives to incarceration like counseling or community service be considered. So this is very interesting.
Attorney General James Uthmeyer was on Fox News a little bit ago, and he was asked to respond to this petition, and here's what he said.
So, I mean, we're not going to take this petition seriously. It's hard to believe that this many valid individuals actually sign it. I have trouble believing that. If that is the case, it really shows the challenge we're up against in this country, where so many people would side with illegal aliens that have committed heinous crimes and have cost lives over victims and the American people. But you know, it also could just be a bunch of bots over in India putting this thing together. So we're not going to entertain it. We're going to do our job. We're going to hold this individual accountable for a long sentence. He'll spend many, many years behind bars before being deported. And we're going to send a message to illegal aliens out there.
And if you looked at that live hit on Fox News was actually from one of those inspection stations along the interstate. It was I-10 in Live Oak. That's where he held a news conference earlier today, where he and the Agriculture Commissioner also talked through some changes, some new initiatives, including some more inspections, basically ramping up illegal immigration enforcement using these agriculture inspection stations along the interstates and highways and those kind of things. So that's one change that they announced today. They also announced the arrest of another man who was in the country illegally and had a commercial driver's license from another state, who was just arrested in Bay County. And they are now calling for the U.S. Department of Transportation. When I say they, I'm saying, you know, the Attorney General and the state. They want the U.S. Department of Transportation, the feds, to remove funding and permitting of commercial driver's licenses from states like California and Washington specifically. So interesting to see where things go from here in the aftermath of this crash that has gotten nationwide attention. Story number 3, a record-breaking cocaine bust by the Coast Guard.
Yeah, we're talking very large numbers here, Garrett. The U.S. Coast Guard announced its largest drug offload in history at Port Everglades in South Florida on Monday, carrying a total value of nearly $500 million of cocaine and marijuana. So listen to this. The U.S. Coast Guard says crews offloaded 61,740 pounds of cocaine and 14,400 pounds of bulk marijuana. Now, to put this into perspective for you, officials estimate the amount of cocaine intercepted at sea during the latest operation is enough for 23 million potentially lethal doses. Officials say many of the vessels that carry drugs set sail from Venezuela, and that's important to know because they're saying that this is a haven for organized crime gangs there.
You mentioned just that sheer volume of that, absolutely kind of mind-blowing to hear those numbers. And the Coast Guard said earlier, this is enough cocaine to kill everyone in Florida.
The 61,740 pounds of cocaine represent 23 million potentially lethal doses. That's enough to fatally overdose the entire population of the state of Florida. Think about that for a moment. Enough cocaine to kill everyone in Florida. That's the immense scale of the threat we face.
So that doesn't kind of put in perspective just how much that is. That's a crazy amount to hear.
Yeah.
Story number 4, and it is game week for UCF and the Knights, and today officially announcing their starting quarterback.
Yes, so this is a very big day. The head coach has been locked in a 3-way quarterback battle with returner Ja'Cory Brown and Indiana transfer Taven Jackson, which might not be completely settled just yet. I'm actually missing the name
Cam
of
Fancher.
Cam Fancher, that's his name. I had it mistyped here on my sheet. So he's in addition to the other two that are in this battle. So according to the coach, it was a neck-and-neck race right until the very end. And even at this point, he's saying that he had to make a decision, and this does not exactly mean that he's secured the job for the entire season, Garrett.
Yeah, you mentioned the 3-way quarterback battle. Fancher, we know, came in from, he played previously at FAU and at Marshall. He does have some experience, but, you know, had in some ways appeared to set himself apart, at least for now, and get that starting nod. Here's a little bit of what Coach Scott Frost said about him.
You know, really, it was neck and neck right until the very end, and we got to a point we had to make a decision. I think in the probably last 4 or 5 days before we decided. I think Cam probably played the best in those, but that's not taken away from anybody else. I got a ton of confidence in several other guys. You know,
So that's Coach Scott Frost, and it'll be interesting to see kind of how that dynamic plays out throughout the season. You know, how long of a leash will Fancher have?
Yeah.
Will he kind of platoon with other quarterbacks in the game? Will it be one game and then, you know, going into the second game it could be someone else? I don't know. We'll see. But we are just a couple of days away now from the kickoff to this season against Jacksonville State.
Yeah. Now, out of those three, it appears that Fancher has the most experience when we're talking about bringing experience to the table, having logged 34 total college football games, including 26 starts between his time at Marshall and Florida Atlantic. And then Fancher's first start Thursday will be his first start because he had that big injury back on November 7th of 2024. He had a broken collarbone, and that sidelined him for the rest of the season.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We're just a couple of days away. It's exciting to think about the start of the season. There are few things better than college football, so I'm excited for the start of the season. Do you agree there are a few things better? It sounded like you were just about to agree with me.
I thought about it. You know, I'm really trying to bring myself around more to football. I feel like everyone thinks I should be, being that my husband played football, my brother played football. I should, but I've just always been a basketball.
So what do you? I'm sure your husband watches football. You don't watch the games with him.
I'm entertaining. I'm working the crowds. You know, doing things that Marlisa
doing Marlisa things, right? That makes sense. All right.
You all enjoy the game. I'll be over here in the kitchen eating.
Well, Marlisa, that's our top forward four, and we appreciate you joining us. We'll let you go here. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist TJ Springer joins me now. And TJ, for this being the Sunshine State, I don't feel like we've seen much of the sunshine today.
Garrett, it was such a gloomy weekend. I know we're losing our moniker, our slogan. It's been such a gray and gloomy stretch.
I know. I feel like I'm less tan already.
Yeah, I feel like beach days, theme park days weren't the best Saturday and Sunday. But hey, I mean, we were there. I know you were too. People still got out. It didn't stop anybody. It seemed like at least most people.
Yeah, you had to dodge some showers, but you know, we're used to that. So nothing we can't handle.
For sure. Yeah, I guess that's rainy season here in the Sunshine State. It definitely feels like we haven't really lived up to our name. But it looks like throughout the week we'll start to see a little more sunshine. Garrett, we are tracking some showers and thunderstorms right now. It's all thanks to this stalled front. It's weak, but it's still draped across the area. That, as well as the southwesterly flow, keeping the moisture levels in the atmosphere high, have led to this unsettled stretch. A lot of cloud cover out there now, and we can see some showers that are working through some of Polk County along I-4. Some heavier rain, though, that we've been keeping tabs on across southern Osceola and Brevard County. We also have a couple sprinkles up near Volusia County right now. Essentially one splitting Mound Grove and Ormond Beach just to the east of I-95. So if you're traveling near the coast, you encounter some raindrops there. Should be short-lived, should be fizzling out and moving offshore in the near future. But farther to the south, that's where we have more widespread rain from about Lake Kissimmee over toward Kenansville along the turnpike, but the heaviest is certainly right to the south and east of Lacosi and Yeehaw Junction along the turnpike just west of I-95. So this will likely traverse into southeastern Brevard County as we progress through the next half hour or so. If you have plans to head out of Indian River County northbound, you'll likely run into that rain if you need to get up to, say, Melbourne or Palm Bay in that general direction. You can see the more gray, ominous view right now from our Evermore Resort camera. What a beautiful view, though. Looks like a couple people still out there enjoying the lagoon as we glance off to the west-southwest. Our brand new camera, you can see the Swan and Dolphin Resorts. You can see Spaceship Earth and Epcot. Really great view of not just the fireworks, but the conditions around Orlando. Here's the big picture. There's the boundary and the moisture associated with, but notice to our northwest, that's our next front that we're watching, and that one looks to help kick this one away, and it tries to bring in some less humid air and a slight cool down, but I don't think it's really going to succeed, at least for us in Central Florida. This time of the year, it's tough to get these fronts this far south, but it does look like at least the Panhandle, places like Jacksonville, North Florida, up into Georgia, will get some relief from the humidity, albeit just a little while. We've also been monitoring Tropical Storm Fernan. Expected to continue to work off to the north-northeast at just under 15 miles per hour. Thankfully, really no issues at all with this one across the United States, aside from some bigger swells maybe along the eastern seaboard and an elevated risk of rip currents. But aside from that, thankfully, this is going to move away from us and continue to lose its punch as it gets into cooler Atlantic waters. Back closer to home right now with all the clouds, only in the lower 80s from Orlando to Claremont. Winter Haven, you're only at 79 with the rain-cooled air at 76 in Melbourne. It's a little drier than New Smyrna, you're at 86. So it's all dependent on if you've gotten rain, if you had some clouds around, if not some peaks of sunshine. That's a big diverging point in our temperatures. If you need to get out there and do some grilling, maybe you're making dinner out there tonight on the back deck or lanai, still could have a few showers and thunderstorms around, but we'll gradually see those storm chances start to drop as we head closer to 8 o'clock with temperatures back into the upper 70s. Overnight, low to mid 70s for the most part, fairly close to average, but still a touch above normal for this time of the year. And then we're gunning for the lower to potentially maybe some spots sneaking up a little high, 93, maybe to the middle 90s, but overall right around 90. It looks to be the case for the most part tomorrow, again with some clouds, showers, and thunderstorms with this front still parked overhead. We'll see that here on Futurecast. This is our Fox weather model. Through the remainder of our night, these showers and thunderstorms fade away. I think we're A-OK as you get out for the morning commute tomorrow. Notice out close to I-75. Some spots maybe closer to Citrus County, trying to see some showers and thunderstorms form, and then we start to see more developing as we head closer to the evening drive on home from work on Tuesday. Now, all of us get rain, but once again, with a little more dry air trying to develop, could have some gusty wind and also the threat of heavy rain still with some moisture in the air, a fair amount of it. All these start to fade away through 10 o'clock on Tuesday. The bus stop forecast, I think we're dry in the morning, but may have to grab the umbrella for the ride on home with that higher chance for showers and thunderstorms at 3 o'clock. Now, our Fox 35 Storm Team 7-day forecast does show temperatures starting to come back up just a little bit with a little more sunshine, a little drier atmosphere as well will help that 93 Thursday. Notice our chances for rain a little more normal, more onshore flow going to drive the sea breeze generated showers and thunderstorms. But then we have another pretty big dip in the jet stream, and this is going to help temperatures come down just a little bit. And I'm thinking, sadly, the weekend, Garrett, once again, not looking quite as bright or quite as nice as what the work week will be.
Well, that's
I know.
What can you do? Come on.
Only if I could turn a couple dials, throw a switch or two, but sadly, that's well above me.
Not as easy as just fudging the numbers on the 7-day, I guess.
But, you know, even this weekend, thankfully it wasn't a washout. You know, even though
that is true.
It was wet for a lot of it, at least there was some sunshine at times, some dry periods at times. So I think this upcoming weekend probably going to be similar.
All right, we're going to hold you to that. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist TJ Springer, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Garrett. I appreciate it.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. The standoff over the Pulse crosswalk continues. We talked about it just a few minutes ago with Fox 35's Marlisa Goldsmith, who laid it all out for us. We know FDOT has repainted that rainbow crosswalk for the third time. There are police officers and FDOT stationed in that area. According to Orlando police, they tell us that the officers out there are on duty, and they are officers who work in that district of Orlando. They also tell us that FDOT requested assistance from Orlando police. Earlier, I talked with Brandon Wolf, who is a Pulse survivor. He's also the National Press Secretary for the Human Rights Campaign, and I asked him to get his thoughts and reaction to everything going on back here in Orlando.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that Ron DeSantis, in his crusade against LGBTQ plus people, has decided to take aim at what should be sacred ground. Just to put this all in context, the Rainbow Crosswalk outside of Pulse Nightclub was approved by Governor Rick Scott in 2017. It was there without issue for 8 years. Ron DeSantis himself visited the site in 2019 and didn't seem to have any issue with the Rainbow Crosswalk at the time. But now that rainbow crosswalks have become, yet another part of the right-wing war on LGBTQ plus people, add it to banned books and censored curriculums and dictating what kids can play, what after-school activities, or use what restrooms. Now that it's become part of that culture war, suddenly DeSantis and the administration have an issue with it. But the reason they came in overnight, under the cover of darkness, with no warning to the city, to remove this rainbow crosswalk is because they knew what the community response would be. You can't put a memorial up to the deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil since 9/11, let the community become attached to it for 8 years, and then rip it out from underneath them without expecting some backlash. That outrage, that backlash is exactly what the state is getting right now.
And I mentioned the crews who were out again overnight, repainting that for a third time. And we know today there's a pretty staunch law enforcement presence out there at the site as well, and even threatening arrests if of people out there if they were to paint that crosswalk like we have seen in the past couple of days. What do you respond? How do you respond to that? How do you react to that?
I mean, are we kidding? Is this what Floridians want state resources to be used on? Let's put this in perspective as well. Yesterday, there were 8 law enforcement officers outside babysitting the Rainbow Crosswalk outside the Pulse Nightclub Memorial. 8 law enforcement officers. That is 8 times the size of the security force that was watching the front door of Pulse Nightclub the night that 49 people were murdered. When is the last time you called 911 and were responded to with 8 law enforcement officers to address a violent crime in your community? So the question for Floridians across the state is, do you really want to be a part of Ron DeSantis's culture war? How many taxpayer dollars are you willing to pour into people sitting on the hood of their car, literally watching paint dry in downtown Orlando before you stand up and fight back against this administration? You're seeing it on the streets of Orlando. You're seeing people, not just that crosswalk, but crosswalks, public-private spaces all over the city, taking chalk and paint and turning them all rainbow. You're seeing people pushing back on the ground, but Floridians need to understand that it is their resources that are being deployed to sit on the sideline next to the Pulse Nightclub Memorial and police a crosswalk instead of doing any number of things that officers could be doing to help make people safer.
The state says this is over safety and that they're not just specifically targeting rainbow crosswalks, but other crosswalks as well. Do you buy that?
No, it's totally bogus. I mean, you know, if we're going to talk about safety, there's ample evidence that rainbow crosswalks, that bright, colorful crosswalks actually reduce pedestrian hazards on roadways. But I also don't want to give in to the right-wing frame. They would love for us to be arguing about safety or consistency on the roadway and not drawing attention to the fact that they have now spent years attacking LGBTQ plus people their entire personalities. Ron DeSantis went from standing at the Pulse Nightclub Memorial in 2019, telling me to my face that he would always have our backs, to launching a years-long crusade against the community solely because he thought it would help him get elected president. That is why we're in this position, because these people are so obsessed with, you know, the idea of being powerful and influential. They're so obsessed with winning a culture war that they are willing to expend endless amounts of state resources, taxpayer dollars, going to war with LGBTQ plus people, going to war with artists in the community so that they can, I don't know, own the libs or get clicks online.
You mentioned the pushback to this from the community, and we have seen a number of people kind of taking matters into their own hands and not just painting or chalking that crosswalk, but also putting up some rainbows on their own property just as a way to kind of show solidarity and support. What does that mean to kind of see that response to this action?
I've talked a lot in the last 8-9 years about how much I love Orlando, and that's the reason I love that community, because they show up for each other. In the wake of the Pulse Nightclub shooting, the response was the same. People stood arm in arm. They held hands. They offered hugs in line at the grocery store. They put rainbows up all over the city, and they said with one collective voice that we would never let one hate-filled man steal our joy, that we would never let him win. The community is responding in exactly the same way right now. Again, you cannot be surprised if you're the state that you helped to put up a memorial, left it there for 8 years, and now people are angry that you've taken that away. But I think the backlash is also a response to this administration, to this governor. It is a response from a community that says, your hate does not represent us. This cruelty does not represent us, and so we're going to fight back in the only way we know how, which is to be more visibly, more proudly, more unapologetically ourselves, full of love.
What do you want to see happen from here? It does not seem like the state is going to back down from this. So what do you want to see happen?
Well, you know what I found interesting in the Department of Transportation's memo was that they claimed they are funding the Pulse Nightclub memorial space, the permanent creation of that memorial. I'd be interested to hear if that's an announcement. Are they planning to fully fund the creation of that memorial? I'd love to get some more answers on that. What I would like to see is one, that we do finish a permanent memorial in that space that is open to the public, that is respectful, that that honors the people who were stolen and everyone who had their lives turned upside down. And I would like to see the people of Florida put new leadership in place that doesn't spend all of its time hyper obsessed with picking on terrorizing LGBTQ plus people, but is laser focused on solving actual problems for people. I'm not under the impression that we're going to win this battle over a crosswalk in the long term, but what we can do is use it as a moment to help people across the state understand what's at stake. That if it's going to happen in Orlando, at a memorial to, again, the deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil since 9/11, then it will absolutely happen in your community. These resources will absolutely be weaponized in your backyard, and it's time for people to take a stand against it.
We'll be right back with more Fox 35 News Plus after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. An unlikely culprit causing quite a bit of damage at a Flagler County cemetery. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay joins me live now via Zoom. And Chris, talk to us about what's going on there.
So as we know, Palm Coast has had a history of wild hog issues. We see this invasive species causing problems at various areas, digging into properties, homes, and whatnot. At a Flagler cemetery, they're now seeing that same issue where those hogs have been invading and digging into the property there. That's footage of what it looks like today. So right now, they've sectioned it off. They've been doing some cleaning and trying to fix that ground where the problem has been caused. They've also been working with a trapper to try to get these animals taken care of. They're planning to plant a trap tomorrow in hopes that they can fix this, so return the property back to what people are accustomed to.
Chris, the damage looks pretty widespread.
Yeah, it's pretty significant damage. That's just at one section of the property, but you see those similar patches of digging all throughout the cemetery. This is just where it's most clustered together, so they've sectioned things off and they're keeping a close eye on this property. They say that they've had these issues here before, but not this extensive. They said a few years back they had the wild hogs invade to make arrangements for that, but this is the worst that it's been, according to the property manager.
And so, what's the next step? I know you said they're working with trappers right now. So what happens next?
So they will plan an electronic trap tomorrow. What that allows them to do is to keep 24/7 surveillance on these animals. Once they walk into a certain area, it will alert the people who are watching. They will then be able to remotely open the gate or close the gate behind them once they enter the trap. Once that gate is closed, they obviously won't be able to escape at that point. The goal is that this will take just a few days to take care of. The trapper that I spoke with says that it's possible. They believe that there are about 12 to 15 of these animals causing these issues. The hope is they could get it resolved in a couple of days, but it's possible that once they plant this trap tomorrow, that they could get it resolved in less than a day. Of course, if they are able to trap these animals, they would then put them down and then take them out of the area. You're actually not allowed to transport them alive without a particular license. So they're working as quickly as they can, and this company is actually called Quick Catch. So they're working as quickly as they possibly can to get this thing resolved.
All right, Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, we appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Certainly, thank you.
We are also tracking a story this afternoon out of Brevard County, where we're going to bring in Fox 35's Esther Bauer, who joins us live now via Zoom. And Esther, the U.S. missile defense system that's been talked about quite a bit by the president, big business for a company based in Brevard.
Yes, we have the Golden Dome. It's something that the president has been talking about over the summer. And we have a Space Coast company, the L3 Harris facility in Palm Bay, was tapped with $100 million to expand out their facility. That expansion is now done, and that is specifically going to be going to support this Golden Dome. So what you're looking at are some pictures that the president put out, but it's similar to the Iron Dome in the sense that the goal is going to be to keep any kind of threats when it comes to lasers, missiles, anything from other countries or even from outer space. If we were to face a threat like that, this dome, this system of satellites and other tools would be able to stop them from reaching us. It would ultimately defend the country before the missile ever hit. I want to be clear, it's not a full, metal or any kind of dome that we will see actually covering the United States, but it's a system of satellites that will all work in unison to be tracking for threats, looking for any kind of missiles, and then being able to stop them before they come here. So this is a big deal for the Space Coast. This company, like we said, $100 million out of what's supposed to be a $175 billion project. So just a small sliver in the overall price tag of what it would take to build it. But we have that happening here in Palm Bay. You can imagine it's great for bringing in business and obviously bringing in high-paying jobs. So it's an exciting new development to see a local Space Coast space company helping with new national defense.
And you also had the chance to speak with Congressman Herodopoulos about this today.
Absolutely. And he was actually just leaving a local high school, and he said he loves seeing things like this happening because this is really creating this pipeline system of kids can go to school at BPS. They can get trained in space or military programs, and then they don't have to leave to get high-paying jobs. When you have an investment like this, $100 million in this local company growing and bringing in business, it allows those children and those high-paying jobs to stay on the Space Coast. So what he really sees this as is just continuing to boost the region and really changing the mindset of, oh, well, if I want to do something, I have to leave the area. He wants families to know they can stay in the area and they can do a lot with the resources that are here. He also thinks this is crucially needed. He's a big proponent of strength through peace, so he doesn't want to have any kind of wars. But he's saying when you have a resource like this, if we get the Golden Dome built, just having that covering us, countries aren't going to want to come at us because they know what they would face if they tried. So he is saying we need to get this up there. There is growing threats from space. It's something we also talk about. It's not just a place we go to do science. There are growing threats, and other countries want to be taking over in space. And so what would be different about the Golden Dome from the Iron Dome is it would be able to detect any stuff coming our way from space and hopefully stop it before it comes here.
All right, it's interesting and fascinating technology, I'm sure. And Fox 35's Esther Bauer, we appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus.
We'll talk soon.
All right, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. U.S. Senator Ashley Moody was in Lake County earlier today honoring 100 Vietnam veterans at a special ceremony at an American Legion post in Lady Lake. Here is what she had to say as right before she honored each and every one of them.
Well, hello, good morning. It's so great to be with all of you in Lake County. Appreciate the invitation at such a worthwhile and important event. I don't know about you, but every time I sing the national anthem, I get a knot in my throat, especially when we end with the land of the free, the home of the brave, and I can think of no better place to acknowledge those that make that possible than right here with veterans in the great state of Florida. Thank you so much. And I tell you, singing that, you did a great job. My husband, I don't know about you, but when I had our youngest, I used to sing the national anthem to him when I rocked him to sleep at night. And my husband used to make fun of me. And he would say to me, you know, that's a hard song to sing. I think he was trying to suggest that maybe I should stop singing it. But I proudly belted that out to my young one every night. And he now sings it louder than any of his other classmates. I think it had something to do with that. But certainly I know, being here today with you, There was a lot more meaning when you sing that than others that might have not seen and served and sacrificed as much as you. And I think it is so important that we come together, especially at moments like this, the 50th anniversary of Vietnam, and remember to say thank you for those that made it possible to live in the land of the free. And that was those that were brave and signed up with courage and honor and integrity and wanted to be something that was greater than themselves and serve among a brotherhood of those that also believed in the importance of service to this nation and all that it stands for. And I don't know about you, but when I sing the national anthem and I pledge the allegiance to our flag, it's not the material, it's the flag and what it stands for. And that is the greatest experiment of a free man in governing ourselves, first and foremost in protecting the life and liberty of those that gave this nation its power, and that is Americans. And so thank you so much for not only the servicemen and women that we recognize today, but for the family members that stood beside them and supported them. Our own family has watched the oldest boy enlist, go to deployment. We know what that means. And I say thank you, not just as a United States Senator, but as someone who, as an American, someone who values what that takes and understands the courage to enlist and serve, and that it's a lifetime commitment. It reflects volumes of who you are as a person, so thank you very much. It's a privilege to, this is my first penning ceremony as the newest United States Senator, not just in Florida, of course, but in the line of seniority. There are 100, as you know, United States Senator. I am number 99. So this is quite an honor for me, and I am so excited to participate in it. The organizations like the American Legion that partner with us to make this possible, we so thank you. And your organizations are incredibly important as men and women of our foreign wars that served have a place to go and fellowship and remember to support one another and remind those of us who you gave this opportunity to serve this great country how important it is that we not forget that sacrifice and service. In fact, I want to say congratulations specifically to this Legion, because they can proudly call themselves the champions, the grand champions of the National Color Guard contest. And this happened this weekend. They won first place in the military class of the 2026 American Legion National Color Guard competition. And I am so excited to recognize Tony Gibson, Larry Snyder, Robert Royben, and you know what's so funny? I came up here with no glasses on. And I'm complaining to y'all. I'm sure Jim Gillespie. You have some?
No, I'm just making sure this doesn't fall.
And Robert Roybal. Did I get everybody? Jim Nochi and John Gorsuch. That's. Now I fit right in. Thank you so much. It serves me right coming up here without glasses, doesn't it? The Vietnam War occupies a unique and difficult place in our history. It was a conflict that was fought far from our shores in conditions that very few that enlisted to serve could even imagine. It put our soldiers into jungles, into monsoon rains, into relentless heat. That was how they showed up to work. Our service members traveled to a country similar in size to New Mexico, yet faced challenges larger than life. They came from every branch of the military, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, each carrying out missions that demanded courage. Some flew helicopters right into hostile fire. Others patrolled seas and rivers on dangerous missions. Many tended to the wounded, saving lives while risking their own. And all endured the strain of disease, harsh conditions, and chemical exposure to serve their country. The cost was staggering. Nearly 9 million Americans wore the uniform during the Vietnam era. More than 300,000 were wounded. Over 58,000 never made it home. Most barely older than teenagers. Many the age of our oldest boy when he served. The average age was just 23. Even now, more than 1,600 remain unaccounted for, and their families still await answers. But service in Vietnam cannot be told in numbers alone. It is also the story of those who endured captivity as prisoners of war, of those listed as missing who left empty seats at family tables, and we must mention those who returned only to find, sadly, a divided country, where too often they were met not with gratitude, but maybe with indifference or rejection. That painful chapter is part of the sacrifice too, and it is one we must continue to acknowledge. Yet what shines through, even in hardship, is the unbreakable bond and resilience of our veterans, and I feel it and see it here today. Their bravery was not just in the firefights during the war, but in coming home and carrying on when the world and many seemed to turn their backs, and living each day afterwards with honor, long after the war had ended. That legacy is a legacy of the American character. We pause today to remember the fallen. The polished black granite of Vietnam Veterans Memorial carries more than 58,000 names. Each name is a voice that reminds us freedom is never free and sacrifice is never forgotten. From their example, we have lessons to carry forward. We must strive to be a nation that never forgets its warriors. We must commit ourselves to unity, to compassion, and to peace. And our gratitude must be more than just words. It must live in the way we care for and support every veteran who signed up to wear the uniform. I think often of veterans that I meet, one Vietnam veteran in particular. When asked if he regretted serving, he said, "No, I did my duty. I stood by my brothers. I would do it again." That quiet, steadfast loyalty to this country, what it stands for, and the loyalty embodied in that statement reflects the heart who all that served in Vietnam. So let's make this promise together. We will never forget the sacrifices of those that served. We will never allow their memories to fade. We will never forget the young Americans who fought in a far-off land. We will honor their courage, their sacrifice, and their legacy, because that is America's legacy, always. May God bless our Vietnam veterans, and may God bless this United States of America. Thank you so much.
And we do certainly appreciate and honor their service and their sacrifice. And again, that ceremony earlier today at that American Legion post in Lady Lake, as Senator Moody honored about 100 Vietnam veterans and some of them surviving spouses as well. Certainly a very nice ceremony there, that American Legion post earlier today, a pinning ceremony as well. So it was nice to see that. To shift gears here at the very end of our show, we are just about out of time here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we do want to play a little bit more for you, as we heard from UCF head coach Scott Frost speaking to the media today, officially announcing Cam Fancher as the Knights QB1. Those reports had come out at the end of last week that he was likely going to be the one. He was the one that was expected to be named as that starting quarterback. It is now official, just a couple of days ahead of the season opener coming up on a Thursday night. Coach Frost talked about Cam's strong showing in fall camp, also talked about the outlook for the Knights heading into the season. This is Scott Frost from earlier this afternoon in Orlando.
Yeah, you get to a point where you practice so much that, you need to see what they can do in a game. And, there's a saying that's true: you don't rise to the occasion, you follow the level of your training. And I feel like we've trained well. But everything changes once you're out there on the field. And I just want our guys to be ready to attack, play with no fear of failure, and just play hard. You can see around the country there's a lot of mistakes happening, first game mistakes, and just a few games that have already happened. We're going to try to limit those, but understand those are going to happen, and effort usually makes up for a lot of that. So I just want to see our guys come out and play as hard as they can.
What did Cam show you in spring and then carry over into fall camp that helped you make your decision?
Again, I don't want to talk about one guy too much. Cam's done a really good job with just command of the offense, control of everything. He's doing a good job turning broken plays into positive plays. But all three guys have done well, so it's Cam's job right now.
With Cam being made the starter, did that influence any way which wide receivers you're looking to get out there, or what have you seen from the wide receivers leading up to this, and who could we expect to see out there?
No, who it is won't change a lot. Every position had battles, and the receiver group really had to grow. Again, not because we don't have talent there, because just we don't have a lot of game experience and production there. I've seen a tremendous amount of growth from those guys, and I feel like we're deep there. We can play quite a few guys, so I think you'll see a lot of different guys out there Thursday, and they're all going to get their chance to make an impact on the game.
Similar to that, does that change the alignment of the offensive line at all? I know Paul's worked at right tackle last year, and he's spent time at left tackle this year during camp, with Cam being left-handed, and the different blind side. Does that change it at all?
No, we don't want to move Paul just for something like that. So, I do feel like we got guys, including Paul, that can play multiple spots, and if the need arises, he could be on the left or right. But all those position battles were independent of one another, and it would be a crime for me to play somebody in a different spot or a different person because of the outcome of a different position race. So there'll be several spots where multiple people get to play, and we're going to have a rotation, but I think we're settled in pretty well, and we'll probably release the depth chart here in the next couple of days.
You mentioned many times throughout camp that this would be a player-led battle and that the team would also gravitate towards the starter. Did you start to see that towards the end of fall camp?
Really, it was neck and neck right until the very end, and we got to a point we had to make a decision. I think in the probably last 4 or 5 days before we decided. I think Cam probably played the best in those, but that's not taken away from anybody else. I got a ton of confidence in several other guys.
I don't think we asked
UCF head coach Scott Frost talking ahead of the season opener for the Knights, 7 p.m. Thursday night against Jacksonville State. That will be the first game of the season for UCF, and exciting to think about college football just about here. We are out of time here on Fox 35 News Plus, so I'm going to go ahead and send things out to Studio A, where John and Luann are getting ready for the start of Fox 35 News. You are going to hear the latest forecast from Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Berggren, and also the latest news as well. So keep it right here on Fox Local. We've got more news, weather, and sports in about 30 seconds right here on Fox Local. Have a great day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.